Good afternoon. I'd like to start by sharing a bit about my personal journey in the tea trade. The first international tea producer I was privileged to visit was India. And I arrived in Kochi, and Mr. Oman Thomas, those of you who remember the great man, drove me around, and that was my first embrace of India. The second part I'd like to share with you on a personal level is that I think I and many of you have tea in our DNA. And just to make sure, would you please raise your hand if you have tea in your DNA? Great. Half the audience is awake. This comes from no man, I'm serious, because you could bump into anyone in these corridors or anywhere in the world, and instantly we have so much in common. So let me rush through this. There's so much to talk about, but Dan has given us very strict instructions, and what I'd like to go through is some that has been referred to previously with a different slant, hopefully, but the world order is changing rapidly. I'll explain. And the ravages of COVID and multiple conflicts are taking its toll on all of us, all of our industries. And it has a huge impact on tea. I'd like to explore an economic theory on the importance of quality control and a suggestion brought forward, a hypothesis by George Akerlof. It was introduced to us in Colombo by a consultancy. They made passing reference, but I went back and I studied it at length, and I thought I'll share these factors with you. And the key aspect of this stuff that we are going through now is that the world order is changing rapidly, as we say, in a manner not seen since World War II, and evolving to a more multipolar world driven by various geopolitical and economic factors. That reality we have experienced, and it's been shared with us by my distinguished colleagues on this panel. But it's dynamic, it's evolving, unfair, driven by many rational and irrational factors, but it's something that we are going to live in. I would like first to talk about the ravages of COVID and multiple conflicts that have had an impact on us. I'm a bit of a Dr. Jayashankar follower on social media, and I learn a lot from the manner in which he handles his ambassadorship as the voice of this great nation. And in one of his interviews, he just used 3 words which stuck in me. And he said, all of this has impacted on food, fuel, and fertilizer. I mean, it was a long interview, but I've capsuled this absolute wisdom and clarity, and we realize how much it is touching all our workers' lives and the entire value chain, even in the consuming countries. Inflation at that end, and high cost here, and our currencies, all of that. Now, please don't be offended by this slide I've put up showing you the key market here. It's not that you don't know where Iraq and Iran is, but I would draw your attention to the 2 points that I circled, and we all realize how some small force can choke the flow of our teas to these critical markets that support us. This area is, in fact, the backbone of our tea industries, those of us who are doing black tea. Let me clarify that. So when Iran was attacked, And after a little while, there was a comment made that they would close that block. It was very doable. It's not a... Every morning we wake up to the reality that some ship can be sunk anywhere in the region and disrupt the movement of goods. And my colleagues were pointing out very validly that this has pushed the cost of freight up, reduced efficiency in terms of movement of goods, which creates cost of funding and various other aspects that in the end comes out of the price of tea. We don't see the other guys taking. The only guys with haircuts I see are on the producer side. So these numbers, I'll be brief and I'll be quick, but this is the kind of impact, the quantitative impact we have when these areas are disrupted. It's disproportionate and significant because in many instances we look at absolute numbers. 52%, 45%, 31%, and quantities. But when you think about the type of tea that moves to particular markets, it disrupts our entire mix of grades and manufacture and creates disruption to our cash flows at estate level and as traders. Now, just imagine how this area is going to remain volatile, and this is the background that we deal with every morning. So let me take you to, I hope I don't find I'm not treated as a preacher here, but to this very interesting Akerlof's theory of lemons. I'll read that. If consumers are uncertain about the quality of a product, they are only willing to pay a price that is lower than the market price of a good quality product, but higher than the market price for a bad quality product. Some of it was referred to by George, but just think about this. And this takes three critical aspects. The information asymmetry. You take the Kenyan model, it disrupted the entire market. It's not just the unsold teas. Nobody knew what was fresh and what was real and what was recycled 6 months, 1 year. We're still not sure how much of that tea is popping up in the world. In my career, this was probably the first time that we had 100 plus, some want to double that, but it disrupted, it had a domino effect in the far corners of the pond, where we sit right now. So let's take the impact of information asymmetry. That is where the buyers are not sure of the markets, not sure of the age, the keeping quality, the information that is being shared. Now this has different aspects, not only about unsold teas, but in each of our markets. And that in turn causes them to be cautious about what they purchase. This converts to adverse selection. And adverse selection is where the conservative estimate of price and value is what is chosen as a safe mode to deal with. And that results in market failure because the lower value, low quality teas with additives or non-compliant with MRLs and others, because of their lower price, tend to undermine the greater market. Now this is something that impacts on all of us at a macro level. These are everyday realities. While there is positiveness and hope, we will deal with that later. Right now, these are critical aspects that impact us. So I was looking at this and I was chatting with Matthew and he asked me some questions and that made me think, and I went back and I analyzed Sri Lanka's auction just as a case study. I'm not trying to say something is better or better, but I thought this is complete data, it's accurate and reflects 96% of all tea that is sold, we go through one auction. If you look at the top, the red line, the $4.10 is the national average, and that represents the green block. That's about 48% of all tea sold. That includes the Rotawayan, BOP Fannings, the Lickering High Growns, and the Orthodox teas, all together. It's just a map. And then we have 11 and 7% just with a 10% variation of price. So effectively, we have about 60+% of our national production selling within the critical market aspiration price that we are seeking. And then we have our problems that are at the lower end. And that is about 17%. Now what I'm trying to say is that maybe in each of our countries, we could focus collectively on pushing the yellow bars up into the green. And these are the everyday realities that we can accomplish, and work on the bottom 17% for all of us to see, because, okay, the marketers need blends and price variation, true, but we as tea producer countries and policymakers do have the opportunity to focus on that and see what's going wrong with us at our lower end. And based on the gentleman's theory, which came out in the 70s, if in fact it is valid argument, address the low end of our teas that are impacting on our total averages and undermining our brand profile, because there are many other factors that have been employed to achieve this. So what did Sri Lanka do? They are struggling like everybody else to keep ensuring product excellence. Fast reaction to market changes. We find many producers are stuck in their ways. The factory manager thinks he knows it all and he doesn't want to change his grade, but we are working on the speed of response to adjust to the demand as it moves rapidly due to the external factors discussed by everyone. We are developing a country-specific standard. We want to tell the world that this is our standard. We are going through the international certification process. It's already work in progress. And we are saying this is developed in Sri Lanka, based on Sri Lankan realities, for Sri Lankan producers. And we will get it certified at global level so that it receives the same recognition as RA or any other standards that are out there in the market. We are moving for GI on Sri Lanka. Everyone's doing GI for regions, but we have commenced the process. It's in the initial stage where the GI for Sri Lanka has been introduced, and it's up for consideration by the authorities. And we are working hard on sustainable initiatives. We'll come back to that as well. And the private sector is taking an active role in policy, in driving policy, and for the present and for the future. Because we in our country, we have a continual change of leadership in government and other sources. So we created a working group of all our people. It's called the Ceylon Tea Roadmap 2030, of which I lead for a while. I think it's time I moved on. We needed a smarter, younger guy, at least better looking. And that change will come soon. So there's a lot that's going on there to enable these numbers that we are getting. And unfortunately, those numbers still we are still the highest cost producer. So it doesn't mean that it's all rosy and everybody is running at a profit. No. It's wafer thin margins with small changes in the market, pushing many people into the red. Okay. The world of tea that was segregated in the past due to the evolution of tea into the colonies and so on, particularly us black tea producers, we see movement and synergies arising by Asian, African countries coming together, smarter, visionary businessmen and corporations creating joint effort. Now this original mindset of we are in competition with each other is becoming less relevant as these shared knowledge, shared infrastructure, shared capital, shared know-how is enabling cross-industry, cross-country trade. And everyone's trading everywhere. So that's a reality that we will enjoy and celebrate, but that is beneficial to us, and we shouldn't be threatened by it, because I think together we'll certainly be stronger, because earlier we were competing with each other, driven down by price, and that was taking us to where we are right now. So let's move quickly. Dan's glancing at the clock, and here are some positives. I borrowed a line from Bob Dylan, but this debate about sustainability, it's a tug of war. We, the producers, get to do all the sustainability work, and still the price doesn't move. What we are looking at is that sustainability of our own country, of our own people, of our own planet is our own responsibility, and whether someone is going to discount us or reward us for it, I think is a secondary benefit. Many of us thought that by doing this, I remember initially when we got ETP certification, there was a price movement for those marks, and thereafter it became the norm, but that is some reality that we are going to live with. And the accelerated migration of knowledge and capital is a reality, and this is going to transform trade in the world, for black tea in particular to be multi-origin, multi-location, multi-hub evolution of based on the needs of and the dexterity of the people who are involved in the industry. So these are movements that we cannot stop. They've got a life of their own, and they are becoming the reality of the world that we live in. And as I sum up briefly, sustainability is not a threat. The world has changed, whether we like it or not, and it will be driven by multipolar forces that will redraw the boards in terms of trade agreements. I think it's about time COMESA was dismantled, George, because we in Sri Lanka and India need to get our foot in the door. We used to ship 30 million kilograms to Egypt years ago. Now it's down to about 3. The reality of our cost of living, our cost of doing business will go up with the primary sources of food, fuel, and fertilizer being under threat. It will impact us in the short and medium term. We'll have to live with those realities, and the impact of these political upheavals are something that are not time-barred. They were likely to extend for a longer period, and these challenges we will have to deal with. Focusing on quality, it's a catchphrase. Lots of people ask, hey man, what are you going to do about this? It's an easy answer, but that is the primary delivery of something special to a consumer. There will be detailed exploration of the techniques and opportunities that can be explored later on. But right here, right now, we can improve the total quality of our product in terms of all its compliances and what is necessary for it to be. And let's focus on excellence without firefighting, and there's far too much average quality tea in the world. Let's reduce that. The marketplace might do that forcefully in some countries, but others we can do through management and control of the product of this. So this is the world of tea that we are in, that I see right now, and thank you for your time, and thank you for your hospitality. It's great to be amongst brothers again. Thank you.